Kelly from Ames, Iowa. I heard you are growing your own rye now. Is that true?
Kelly, yes we are. Last year we had some rye grown here in Templeton. The weather conditions and everything were favorable, so we actually produced a pretty good crop of rye. Had the Sporer brothers over there in Dedham to come in and combine it for us, and it come out that part of that rye was actually used in our last batch when we visited Lawrenceburg here about 2 months ago.
Yep. You know, we would like to do more of that in the future. We're not sure if we're, you know, if our climate and whatnot is going to be conducive, but we're working on it. We're going to plant some rye and maybe even some barley this year. From Michael, who's looking to start his own distillery in Colorado. What is the difference between a heads and tails cut?
Well, Michael, the heads cut is very simply, that's the acid aldehydes. That's the first cut you take from 155 degrees on your distillery, on your still, to about 176. And it isn't a large portion, but that portion does accumulate acid aldehydes and fusel oils, which are not good for and whiskey.
And what about tails?
And the tails is actually, when you get your distillation down, you'll get an odor. And when that odor begins is when you cut off your heart, it goes your heads, your heart, and then your tails. The heart is what you put in the barrel. The tails is what we actually accumulate. It's got alcohol proof, it's got proof alcohol in it. But what we do with that is collect that. It's about a 40 proof whiskey. We collect that and save it for the next run. That's always added prior to distillation. You add it during the mash, you'll kill your yeast.
Jill from Phoenix. Seriously, when are we going to get the good stuff in Arizona? Don't make me come up there.
What was her name?
Jill.
How old are you, Jill?
I think, well, as we said earlier, you know, about 3.5 years ago was our products in the barrel anywhere from 4 to 5 years, and we started to scale up production then, and we're thinking late here in 2010. You know, priority number 1 is going to be resupplying Iowa. Priority number 2 is going to be resupplying Illinois, and then potentially we're eventually going to look at some other markets, some of the remaining border states of Iowa, although Arizona is pretty interesting to us because there's a lot of Iowans down there, and I think there's a lot of pretty sophisticated whiskey people. So I guess it's on the list, Joe. Call Keith. I'll let you know.
712.
All right, so let's do one more here. Sarah from Brooklyn. I don't know if that's Brooklyn, New York, or Brooklyn, Iowa. How has the process changed since Prohibition?
Oh, my land. It's so much easier now than during Prohibition. I do remember my father telling me, when he showed me how to make whiskey, he said, oh, it's so easy now with electricity and running water and rural water. Good product. So
they would actually have to be sitting there still.
One thing to consider back then, there was no electricity, as Dad just mentioned, but you had to be out in a cornfield or out away, so you always had to look over the shoulders of the revenue, and you also had to be by a water supply to keep your condenser, your coils cool on your condenser, and you know, it's just, there was a lot of different variables there that you had to make sure everything made it just right.
Yeah, and you weren't looking over your shoulder to see
Yeah.
if there was somebody sneaking around.
they worked all night to get 5 gallons.
Yeah.
All night.
Yeah, and a lot of it was done at night.
Always at night.
Well, good. So maybe we'll try to do this again in the future. I think it was nice to answer these. So thanks everybody for your inquiries, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Hey,
Thank you,
it's been a pleasure,
folks.
buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your good work, guys. All right.
Good to see you
Good
again.
to see you, buddy.
Keep supporting us, folks. We appreciate it.